Oh, Jesus, I lost that real quick. Big fingers, pushing too many buttons, and we're live. And welcome to Hitchhiker. And happy Thursday, I believe it's Thursday, on this very special, not on the 10th of the month episode of the Touring Fan Lives Hitchhiker Stories from the Road. Interesting enough, I usually am drinking some wine this evening. I am now drinking coffee because the person that's on the show is underage, and we cannot influence the youth of today's future, I guess. I don't know. I haven't really prepared very much for this. I'm Anthony. For everyone that's probably tuning in, we're tuning in for Nevin. Nevin is, of course, in Chicago and the son of the very well-known JJB in the Pearl Jam community. But we're not here to talk about JJB, are we? We're here to talk about Nevin and his love of music and why at 20 years old he has the experiences he does in music, why he loves the music he does, and also his connection to Teen Cancer America. So before we do that, real simple question, Nevin, how's it going?
I'm doing great. How about yourself, Anthony?
I don't know how I'm alive right now. I'm gonna.
Fair enough.
Yes, yes. This is. I would recommend this to you if I can give you some advice, because I remember when I was younger, adults would give me advice and I would let it go in one ear and out the other, and you can totally do the same right now. But
Yeah,
when
I'll just take
you,
these off for you.
there you go. When you get older and you go to buy a home, you buy one house, you don't ever leave. You don't ever move again. You die in that house. You just stay.
Okay.
Moving is the most stressful thing in the world. It is aging me beyond years. I'm actually only 21. I don't look it anymore. It's insanity. So no, this is insane. But no, I'm really excited about having you on. I've heard a lot about you over the years. Your mother, when you were looking to go to college in Boston, being from the New England area, living in Boston, your mom was asking some advice about Boston. I was rooting for you to go to Boston, and then you ended up in Chicago, and we'll talk about that.
Oops.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good. But hey, listen, let's get dig into this because I find this really interesting about you. You're 20 years old. You've been to a lot of concerts. We'll talk about that. But I tend to find that a lot of kids at the age of 20 and younger, even into 20, 22, 24, and I apologize about my camera feed. This, as you can tell, I'm not in my typical studio, so this is an interesting dynamic of the guests having better connection than I do, and I apologize. But hey, listen, um, you have an eclectic taste of music where in retrospect most of the kids your age are listening to music that is more EDM, single based, where it's a single from an artist and that's about as popular as they get, and more not album driven, and it's not of the music that you listen to. When did you first fall in love with music?
Oh my God, when did I first fall in love with music? I think it wasn't necessarily I fell in love with music. It was kind of just music was kind of integral to my being. I never necessarily was like I don't think I necessarily discovered music in like the traditional sense where it was like, oh, I found this one song and I really really like it. It was kind of like music was playing in my household constantly. It was something I grew up with. Like to it's almost something that like if I didn't like music is just a part of me. I think is the best way to succinctly describe it. Growing up listening to, my earliest memories probably of music would probably be like I have a lot of early memories of Modest Mouse. Ryan Adams is also another one, and those were kind of like, these are small, not small, but like these are, different songs that I listened to kind of growing up, and then my taste would just change over time. So it was like, I had different phases of like the type of music that I would listen to.
I'm trying
So
to think. So when you first, your memories. So you're 20 years old now, right? So this is how old were you when these memories of yours that you're recalling right now? How old are you?
when I think about like my oldest memory of music, it's I'm sitting in a car. I was living in Germany at the time. I'm maybe 4 or 5. And this is like I just remember there's this one vivid memory I have of listening to "Good News for People Who Love Bad News" by
Mm-hmm.
Modest Mouse, and it's us driving throughout like I think it was a field, but I remember this windmill farm that we would drive from our house to on base, And so it was that's just the earliest memory I have when I think of music.
So it's interesting because I remember being, so that was 15 years ago, right? So I would have been, I don't know, 21. I would have been your age basically, right? Which is hilarious to me because when I was, when I was five, right? So that would have put me in 1990. My early memories would have been Pearl Jam and the grunge era, and even like falling in love with like Springsteen. And so it's interesting
Okay.
because like bands like that I don't realistically find old, like Modest Mouse I still classify as a relatively new artist, or like Ryan Adams, who I've seen God like 15 times. Like he's relative, like I remember seeing him with God, like his first rock and roll. Like I remember seeing that back in 2004. Like so it's first of all, you might have made, not only have I been stressed all day, you might have made me feel even older by the just the fact of like you said, well, I remember back in the day listening
Well,
to
and
Modest Mouse.
the thing that's so funny about that is I still in terms of like my music taste, I still also see like Modest Mouse as a relatively new like artist. Like even though like it was something that like, I listened to when I was like 5, cuz that album came out in like 2004, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so like it's still something I still see them as like a newer artist just because my taste in music goes back to like, 1960, 1970. Like I think I still kind of share that same scale and like perception with how maybe you would see music, in the sense of
Okay.
like, I would place it, I kind of place it in a timeline already in terms of like music history.
Now, the circle of people that you hang around with, are they listening to the same music, or is that kind of the gap between what you do and what they listen to?
So, actually, so much of my music taste now is, it isn't even necessarily my music taste now is a lot more focused on I listen to a lot of smaller artists, in terms of like, nothing that anyone really knows. My music taste now has definitely shifted from like, from like maybe 5 years ago. 5 years ago is probably when I was biggest on like, the Who or Pearl Jam. That was probably like, I still, I still listen to them, but it's not nearly as big as it is now,
Sure.
for me. And so like a lot of my music taste now is focused on, especially now that I'm like studying film and I'm trying to, find my own kind of artistic taste.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of albums that I listen to are like almost like soundtracks, where it's kind of like there's no vocals. It's kind of just like they all have this different sound to them. They all use different instruments, and that's kind of what I found more interested in now, is where it's like I like finding these like smaller albums that are like 20, 30 minutes and like no one's ever heard of, and I can't find any information about them, and I'm like, oh,
Okay.
these are really cool. I want to find more about these.
All right. How about this? We're gonna do something. You have a pen and paper?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I'm gonna give you three artists to listen to, and then I want you to give everyone listening three artists to listen to. How's that sound? That we've never heard of.
Okay. All right.
All
All
right.
right.
All right. Let me know when you're ready.
So give me 3.
All right.
I'm ready.
The number one, Kathy Moore and the Super Trio.
Okay.
Number two, Jackson Pines.
Hold on. And the Super Trio.
Mm-hmm.
And then you said Jackson Pines.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And number three is Paul and the Tall Trees.
Paul and the Tall Trees.
Yep. And that's your homework assignment. So next week I want a full write up, 600 words on each artist.
Dude, I have so many homework assignments already. You can't give me more. I'm a college student. Come on, man.
How about thumbs up, thumbs down? We'll do that.
Okay, I can do
Okay.
that.
Okay. And then now you get,
all right.
because I want to know, like, I'm interested into finding out what are you listening to that we should know about, because I feel like there is definitely this gap between people of the age of, me and you, and then everybody else, because I don't feel as old as everyone else.
Fair enough. Well, and so let's just say clarification now. When I say like smaller artists, I mean something that's like, there are some probably artists that like are probably well known, but not well known to my generation at all. Like I listened to lately, let's just say, for some of the albums that I've been listening to, is a lot of like, I've been getting interested in a lot of like, I like some like Japanese 80s pop is really something that I've been interested in recently. I like a lot of 70s jazz,
Okay.
a lot of funk. Funk is a really good one that I really like. It's just honestly, if you were to look at my Spotify playlist or Spotify Rewind or whatever they do,
Mm-hmm.
um, it's just a mishmash of like genre. I think I maybe listened to like 1,000 different artists last year.
Wow.
Like it's just I usually is the case where I just kind of pick like a radio for Spotify and then just hit shuffle and just listen to different things. Like so, like lately, it's never been like a specific artist that I've been listening to.
Okay.
Now, with that out of the way, let me look at my Spotify real quick and see what kind of artists I've been liking lately. Not necessarily a smaller one or a small one. I don't know how big they necessarily are. A good one is Bad, Bad, Not Good.
Bad, not good. Never heard of them. Okay.
Yep, it's all one word. They have some really good albums. They actually had like a TikTok trend recently with one of their songs, and that's actually how I discovered them. They're phenomenal artists. They have some really good albums.
Okay.
Actually, I'm going to recommend an album as well. I feel like that's part of it. I gotta do that.
No. Artist only.
No, artist only. Okay.
Artist only.
Okay. Let me find another one then. Let's see. There's a. Oh shoot! Wait. Sorry, I gotta like look something up real quick.
Listen, this is I mean, this is highly this is riveting right here. One of my favorite people in the entire world just said, important to appreciate all genres. Good for you, Nevin. That is from Karen High out of New Jersey.
Thank you, Karen. I appreciate it.
How about this? You just text me a list later.
Wait, I do have another one. Another one.
All right, go ahead.
So we got it is a Japanese electronic music band from like the 70s. It's Yellow Magic Orchestra. They've got some really good albums.
Orchestra, okay.
And then a last one would probably be Mort Garson.
Mort Garson. All right.
He plays the Moog synthesizer. He's a favorite of mine. So.
Oh, interesting. All right. Well, I am going to give these a listen, and I will give you a thumbs up, thumbs down review next week.
Awesome. Sounds good.
So let's do a little rewind, which for most people is a big rewind. For you, it's 2 days ago. Knowing your relationship with your mother and knowing how important music is to your family and you, what was the first concert that you went to that you wanted to go to?
So that's that's interesting. So like in terms of music, I've loved concerts for a long time. And definitely starting off, it was something like I wanted to go do mainly because I just wanted to please my parents.
I understand.
It was kind of something that kind of grew on me. Basically, it was like at first I was like, okay, I'll just go because I want, they like it. I'll probably like it.
Sure.
So like before, I can't really, mainly because I can't go back to every single concert that like I don't know if there's anything that I specifically remember. I remember being very excited to go see Pearl Jam in Kansas City. I forget what year. But I do remember that was something that like, my mom and I went out to go do. And I remember just the hotel we stayed in was super cool. But then the concert itself was just awesome. Like just going in, seeing Ed and, the band, that was a good memory. And I remember being excited to go see them there. I think I may even still have the shirt.
Yeah, well, that's always good to hold on to those things. What memories, like what memories do you hold dear from that event? Like what comes to you and you're like, it's just like these things tie you to that memory.
I remember. So my favorite thing about concerts is probably talking to people, and I just remember that being one of the. Thank you, Mom. There you go. She's in the chat. 2010.
With Band of Horses opening.
See, I wouldn't even be able to remember that. I don't. I was 9. So.
Wait. Please tell me you remember You don't remember Band of Horses?
I don't remember them, unfortunately.
You know who the band is, though, right?
Yes, I know the band. I just don't remember that. This is the first time I'm here knowing that I saw them live.
Oh man.
It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. I know. Well,
No, just continue.
anyway, I think my favorite memory is I don't remember the specific conversation I had, but I just remember talking to people around me. And since then been my favorite thing about going to concerts is interacting with the people at shows,
Yep.
just hearing people's stories, hearing what people have to say, hearing their thoughts. And it's like I think that is the reason I have become a more sociable person is because of my oh, that is right. Oh, look at that. See, my mom's coming in clutch again. I remember I gave Ed a Super Mario, it was like a Paper Mario wristband, and he wore it on stage. And then, of course, anytime they play Porch, my mom will remember. But yeah, I think that was another memory that I also have paired with that show is just, the cool interaction with Ed.
With when you think of Pearl Jam, right, in general, okay,
Mm-hmm.
do you think of Pearl Jam the band you love, or is it Pearl Jam that is a connection between you and your mom?
I think it's more of a connection between me and my mom. My mother's gonna hate me when I say this, but was not never necessarily one of my favorite genres.
Okay.
Um, but I loved going to Pearl Jam concerts because it was mainly because of the community. I really love the Pearl Jam community. Like
Sure.
they're so supportive and they're so cool, and like I think that is the main reason why I love like going to Pearl Jam shows is because I love interacting with the people at Pearl Jam shows.
So when you think of Pearl Jam and it brings you and it connects you to your mother, when I say what does Pearl Jam mean to you? What is the first thing that comes to your mind?
See, you say that, and then my mind goes like blank because now I'm like, oh, this is I have to think of something. But I would probably say the community.
Okay, well, that's cool. Hey, listen,
I think of the community with Pearl Jam.
you don't have to go deep into it. This isn't like I'm not. This isn't. You don't. We don't have to go crazy. It's all good. Now I know. I know what all this means and stuff. When you think, because you've been to a lot of shows with your mom, and I know how
Mhm.
much music means to your mother, and I know how much your mother incorporates music, and then she has this big heart that she does these things outside of the community, and that's what drew me to her. And that's
Yeah.
when my friendship with her is I value it very highly because I mean she's got such a big heart and she's done so many great things. And I'm assuming that you would also agree that that is equivalent the same thing as a mom, correct?
Yes,
Okay.
she does pretty well.
Now, the reason I'm asking this is because bring this up is your mom does a lot when it comes to nonprofits and fundraising, and she does a lot. She gives a lot. Your mother is a very selfless person. She wears a heart in her sleeve. She's always doing for others. You turned your love into music with The Who quite a few years ago and found an organization called Teen Cancer America. And that's why we're doing this episode tonight, too, because Touring Fan Live is working with Teen Cancer America this month to raise money to continue to support Teen Cancer America. We're doing a couple different things. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But I want to know first of all, how did you get involved with Teen Cancer America? We'll start with that question.
So actually, Teen Cancer America they had a show or they did a charity show, I believe, or they. Okay, let's start from here. They were giving out tickets for the Quadrophenia show in Chicago,
Okay.
where it was Alfie Boe, Roger Daltrey, or Pete Townsend, Eddie Vedder, and they were all doing this with an orchestra. They were doing a Quadrophenia show, and so my mom was like, "Oh, I could get you tickets for this, or we could like put in for tickets for this." And I was like, "Okay," and she was like, "Okay, so and then she prompted the next question was, I could either or let's first it was I could either buy you tickets to go see the show, or we could get you a car. And I was like, okay, well, this is quite the dilemma because I wish I could have both, but like, car I need functionality, but this would be an insane show to go see. And then we put in tickets and we were like, okay, maybe, if we get it, it'd be cool. And then we ended up winning tickets for the, like my mom had put in her name like 50 some odd times, put in my name like 10 times. And then my name got drawn. And so we ended up getting these tickets. It was like VIP passes, front row. It was like, oh my God, like I'm gonna go see, I get to go see them now, and like this is awesome. And then it was, it was also like we got to meet the band, or got to meet like I have a photo that I think I still have on my Instagram page of it's me, Eddie Vedder, Pete Townsend, Alfie Boe, and Billy Idol. And it's just like I look at this photo, I'm like, oh my god, I still remember the moment when I went to go. My mother and I were waiting in line to take photos with them, and my mother started freaking out because she thought the photo was just like with Pete Townsend, and then she learned that Eddie Vedder was there, and so she started freaking out. And so rather than her consoling me about me meeting Pete Townsend, I'm consoling her about her meeting Eddie Vedder. And so it's like, um, it was this awesome experience. Like I shook hands with Pete, which is insane. Like Pete is a tall guy, first of all. Like that,
Really?
that could, yeah, he's tall for taller than I expected, I guess. And
Okay.
so, and shook his hand, shook Ed's hands. I don't know if he remembered, whatever, but it was cool to just talk with him very briefly. It was like less than a minute, but it was cool to have that experience. And then obviously the show was phenomenal. Being able to see it's one of those shows where I kind of started crying halfway through because I was like, oh my god, I'm like I could reach out and touch him while he's playing, like being that close.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those concert memories that I hold very dearly to my heart, and it was definitely an awesome experience. And
Well,
so
it just shows it just shows what music can do. I mean listen,
yeah,
I've had shows where music has made me feel emotions outside of what typical people feel, because music does different things to different people, and it's amazing that you were able to experience that, but also amazing that you were able to experience that with your mother, which
yeah.
is pretty awesome. Now, so you get to see the show. When did you connect with Teen Cancer America?
I got to remember off the top of my head because it's been a minute since then.
We don't need
But I
exact
think
dates.
yes, but I think we ended up trying to get involved. I think we kind of reached out to Teen Cancer America, and we kind of were like, okay, maybe we could have an idea to like do a fundraiser. My mom has, she has plenty of fundraising experience, and so we
Yeah.
were like, okay, maybe we could, do something for Teen Cancer America. Ended up getting ended up like talking with some representatives, and they were like, yeah, we should do something. And so then it was kind of just with a lot of help from my mother, kind of just planning out an event in St. Louis to raise money for Teen Cancer America. We got so many donations and like so many like support, because of my mother's connection with the pro gym community. And so it was, and then we got a bunch of donations from Teen Cancer America as well to help raffle off. And it was just this awesome, like, it was just this really cool experience to be able to like, I don't know, kind of run something that's beneficial for like, not only just like an organization, but like an organization that helps with my generation too.
Yeah.
And so it was like, it was this, I felt like it felt really good to be able to help, like just not my own kind, but like my,
Your youth.
my own generation.
It's what you're giving into. I will say this: for 20 years old, most 20-year-olds that I know are either in college or worrying about themselves. Like they're not worried about helping other people. It's a very rare breed. It's something that I instill in my kids. I believe in giving back, but I want to know, T, why is it important for you to want to do something like this? Because I also know that when you graduated, instead of asking for money, you wanted to have people donate directly to Teen Cancer America, which you didn't have to do. You could have taken money in, and you could have been, and nobody no one would look past you. But you decided to say, hey, listen, there's a bigger need than me putting money in my savings account. I can figure this out on my own. Let's try to help these other people here. Why is giving back so important to you?
Well, I'm also, to put into context, I've also come to realize that I'm in a very lucky situation to be where I am and to have the things that I do have. And I know it's not the same for necessarily everyone. And I think it's always been something for me that I like to be kind of not a middleman, but I like to be someone kind of on the sidelines that like incites like conversation, or like something that like, I guess a moderator. Like I like to be on the sidelines and like work on creating something for other people to enjoy. And I think that's a big thing, especially when it comes to fundraising. That's just more of a monetary focused thing.
Yeah.
But I think that's something that's it's something that's beneficial to other people, and then seeing other people enjoy those benefits is what like the dopamine receptors in my brain go, oh, this is good, I like this. And so I think that's the main thing that I like about giving back, is that me giving back to another group or person or whatever all kind of retracts, and I get a little bit of that happiness back, knowing that I did something. I did something better to the world than how it was left, if that makes sense.
It completely makes sense. I think when I was in college, one of the greatest messages that was given to me by one of my professors was, and he was older, and he's like, my goal as a professor was always to come into this world and leave it better than it was when I got here. And I think a lot of people have overlook that and don't justify that as a realism anymore. And I think people are just are very selfish in their own ways, and they think about how they can benefit things. And I find it very very admirable. I think that's admirable. Listen, I'm not good with big words. I'm trying to use it to impress you right now because you're in college, but I think it's pretty amazing that you at 20 years old, and you've been doing this for quite a few years, that you understand what giving back is and the real reasons behind it. I've been, in the back seat, watching, from a distance, on your mother's social media, things that you've done for a long time. And there's a lot of kids out there that, they're doing their own thing, whether it's through sports or whether it's through, whatever they're doing. And it's amazing. But I always find it even more amazing when someone takes time away from their own life at such a young age to want to do something special. Kudos to you for sure for doing that. I think that's pretty awesome.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad. I'm glad to know that it's paying off.
Yes. All right. So now this is the time. Are we allowed to talk about the drug infused rager you had last night? Is your mom allowed to know about that one? Or are we going to skip that?
Yeah. Well, now that you kind of outed me, I kind of have to talk about it now. So
So, but realistically, you're in college right now in Chicago,
Yep.
and you're studying. What are you studying right now?
I'm studying film and television.
And what is your end goal? Like, what do you want to do with that?
So, this is actually, I get this question a lot, being in college, everyone's like, oh, what do you want to do? And then then they hear film and television, and it's like, okay, well, now what are you going to do? And so in order to be happy for myself, I have 3 requirements. I have to have a roof over my head. I have to have food on my plate, and I just have to be in the industry. As long as I'm in the industry and I'm doing, I'm having fun and I'm doing, I'm creating things, and, I can make at least some money from it, I will be happy. I want to invest a lot of my time and motivation kind of into creating things that other people enjoy.
Yeah.
I think the entertainment business is, there's a lot of potential, and I think it's something that I will have fun doing. It's not necessarily like, I think the biggest thing for me is, I had the choice to go to school for engineering or for, something that gave a more stable income. But I realized that I would just be using that money and funneling it into things that I would want to create. So I figured I might as well just put myself in the center of it, so that way I can put more focus on it and be able to create more things for other people to enjoy. And so I think that's the main.
Well, I'm gonna be that person that I hated when I was little, but I'm gonna do it as a person that realistically in the last 3 years shifted a lot of what he was doing in life to be happier. Right? Like at one point in my life, I was working a ton to the point where I was never seeing my family. I missed a lot of moments. I will tell you, if you keep that idea in your head, right, and force it that, hey, I know what I want to be. It might be tough in the beginning. I promise you, Nevin, that if you work hard at it in the beginning, because 90% of people that are at your school right now, right, that want what you want, are not going to fight for what you want. They're going to, after a while, they're going to give up, right? Because a lot of people want the easy way, and not realizing that once you jump over those couple hurdles, that pathway starts flattening out a little bit, and you start meeting the right people, and then things come your way. It's not going to be right out the gate, but I promise you, if you fight for what you want in life, and with your drive and motivation, you have a bright future in front of you. So yeah, I think it's awesome that you have this idea already at such a young age, and I think that your maturity comes from your parents, knowing your mom real well. I don't know your dad, but I know your mom real well, and knowing with what she does and how she does things and her mindset, I think that you have the right ground foundation to have all of your dreams come true. And I look forward to really seeing that come to the forefront in the next couple of years. I mean, I'm still young, so I'll be able to see you get old. I don't know about I don't know about some of these people watching this show that are old and stuff, but I'll be around for it. Now, with music, right? Did music get you into the field you're in now? Would you say that music was a driving factor for why you're in college?
Yes. Funny enough, I think most of my creative process is derived from music. I need music in order to be creative. It's like what I was saying earlier about how like music is a part of me. I don't mean that lightly. Like it is definitely something like if I want a lot of my projects that like I'm still coming up with and trying to, actually, create are at its root, like music based. Like I have short films that I want to make and they're like, think of them as like longer or think of them as like bigger music videos, but for like album scale.
Mm-hmm.
Less that I want to make where it's like, I'm more focused on, transcribing music to video rather than like, I have a film from point blank and I want that film to be, I write a screenplay and I want to portray that story from paper to screen. I'd want to transcribe the music to screen almost.
So let me ask them, because I find myself doing this. I'm curious if you do it too. When you hear a song and you're listening to it, then you start reading the lyrics. Do you start like imagining what that would look like in real life if you were to create that as a video?
Yes, I do that all the time. That is actually the main reason why I listen to music, is because a lot of the times I'll turn a song on, I'll lay in my bed, I'll close my eyes, and I think I've realized that I think the term is synesthesia, where it's like you hear music and then you see like either images or like symbols or something in your head. I think I may have that. I'm not for sure if that's what it is, but it's like that is the main reason why I love listening to music, is because I'll just close my eyes and I'll see like images in my head where I'm like, oh, this is what, if I were to take this song and make a music video out of it, this is how I would do it, kind of deal.
First, just remember that when you are smoking pot, only a little bit, because you don't want to go too far into that. Just a little code. No. Realistically, first of all, I'd never heard of that word before, so that's I've been educated this evening. I'm gonna have to look up that definition on it later, make sure. But no, that's pretty impressive. I mean, that art-driven ideas that are coming through it. I mean, yeah, I think that's awesome. I mean, I do find myself, I travel a lot, like listening to music and kind of envisioning, like, what would this look like? How would this like come to fruition if it was in real life? And that's pretty cool that there, people doing that. So we know it's so. This is weird for me. I'm gonna tell you something. I've done a lot of interviews. This is a tough one because being so young, and I know you've had a lot of creativity, but first of all, like, for your age, you're light years ahead of your age when it comes to the ideas of what you've done already and where you're going. But also, like, you've only like tapped the surface on life, which is so. I mean, you're not that far off from like my son's age, so like that to me is weird in its own sense.
It's exciting, honestly. Like to know, that's what makes me. Anthony loves. I love that, Brad. But I think that's the thing that I'm very excited about is like I think obviously I'm not quite sure where I'm at, like maturity. I can't. That's not something I can say for myself. That's for other people to kind of judge on for my own character. However, from what people have told me, I feel like I'm in a very good place, that I'm very excited for what life has to offer me, especially in these next 10 years. Because now I literally just entered my 20s like a couple months ago. Like this, people tell me, the 20s are the best years of your life or whatever. And I'm like, well, this is exciting, but it's also like terrifying, but also exciting.
Time out. Rumor has it that the best years of your life are 40 to 60. I haven't entered those yet. So
Really? Okay.
That's what I'm being told. That is what I was told. The best years of your life are from 40 to 60.
to be fair, people who have said the best years of your life are in your 20s are in their 30s. So I guess there may be some correlation to that.
So I'm 36. I would say that I don't know. My 30s have been probably better than my 20s, realistically.
Really?
Because, well, you
Okay.
know, in your 20s, you're fresh out of college, you're figuring things out, you're struggling, you're gonna. It's a dog and fight. You're finding out who your real friends are, what social group you fit in. You're still building your character up. Like I think 31 was when I was like, I really started finding out who I was and what I wanted to be in life. And that's when I enjoyed it. But then it's interesting because most of my friends are much older than me. Brad, that was on the screen, he's 72. So you know, and your mom's what? She's early 60s. So I mean, you know, you know, I like all my friends to be in AARP. Like I'm a big fan of them, you know, receiving the senior benefits. So if we go out to lunch, that they get that discount. Like I want to make sure that my food is taken care of. And they always say, "Hey, 40 to 60 was great. It was some great times."
I can't wait to read the messages that my mom will send you later after the show. There it is. There it is.
I think, Brad, understand that the times in your life exist in the vacuum of the time period and can't be revisited.
I like that. I actually really like that. Because
Brad, listen, Brad went to school with Albert Einstein, so he, you know, those two,
Oh, okay.
the old souls.
Yeah. But I what I really like about that is like I'm also, you know, although I don't have as many years behind me in terms of that kind of statement, I still find myself realizing that same kind of deal is like I've been looking back on like my teens and I'm kind of like reflecting on, you know, choices that I've made and like things that I've, you know, seen and done. And it's like, yeah, okay, like it's interesting to be able to place them in like a certain context and then for like to actually be able to like reflect on them and meditate on them and to understand and then, you know, learn. I'm still learning from like, I still have memories that pop up and I'm still learning from them. Like, oh my God, why the hell did I do that? Like, you know.
But I mean, that's good that you recognize that, though. I mean, it's funny to me because I'm thinking about it. It's like I have shirts older than the amount of years that it's that you've learned that Santa Claus wasn't real. So
Yeah.
it's scary. Well, let's rewind a little bit and get back on track on the show. And it didn't mean to be this whole age thing, which the show's turned into, which is hilarious. But you know, now that I'm pretty sure you've been to a lot of shows without your mom.
Yes.
What shows really, when you think of concerts and music and memories, if you can go back to any concert you've been to, what concert would you want to go to that you went to in the last couple of years?
Ooh, that's a very good question. Oh yeah, I actually still believe in Santa, so I don't know what you're talking about, by the way.
Good for you. Good for you.
But so I can't think of it. Like, so I'm coming out of my. Let's just say I'm coming out of my Fish phase, where it's like I was very big on Fish. They're one of my favorite bands, and so like that. I have a lot of good memory shows, or I have a lot of good memories from those shows. Just seeing the people at those kind of shows, and so it's like that's a really good environment that I really enjoyed. Funny enough, I think one show that I would really like to go back to is, oh my God, I had it at the tip of my tongue and then it disappeared. You know, I pulled a blank now, and now I'm just kind of getting lost.
No, it's all good. You know, I saw Fish. I'm not a Fish fan by any means. I saw Fish at the Hampton Coliseum back in 2009. And I remember being there. It was like 5 minutes into the show, and I look over to my buddy. I'm like, hey, dude, like this is a really long song. When are they gonna play the next song? He's like, what are you talking about? We're 7 songs in. I'm like, there's no. He's like, hey, look, they're just starting the next song. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, this is the same damn song. Like, it's the same shit over. So for me, first of all, they're super talented musicians beyond anything that I listen to and can ever comprehend. But for me, like, that was maybe I'm just not intelligent enough to understand it.
it could be that you're too intelligent to understand it too. Don't ever think that. However, I think the main thing that I love about Fish is just how different it is every time you go see it. Like, a lot of the times with shows, you go to see your favorite artist play some of your favorite songs. And what I like about Fish is that you go to see, a Fish show, and then it's just different every time. Like the song, it's the same song, and a lot of it is like you kind of go back to like the same chorus where you're like, oh, I love these lyrics. This is my favorite part of the song. But then they kind of just go off and do their own thing, and then you're like, what the hell am I listening to? This sounds I've never heard before. And I think that's the main reason why I like listening to them, especially live, is because I don't listen to the same thing over and over. It's like I'm watching them make music live rather than just regurgitate the same songs, if that makes sense.
It does. Still not for me.
Fair enough. Again, I've met more Fish haters than Fish lovers. So
well, here's the thing. I will not say that I hated it. I walked away from that show. I've been to a lot of concerts where you walk out and you're like, why did I waste my time? For me, it was just like they were talented. The music was decent, but I just didn't get it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh God, it's like, all right, I'll give you an example, and I'm probably going to get shit on for this. I have been told over the last 6 months to give a certain band a listen, and there's a couple songs I get, but for me, I just don't get this band, and it's the War on Drugs.
I haven't listened to the War on Drugs. I've heard the name though.
Yeah, so and everyone's like, you got to give it a chance. So I gave it a chance. I listened to it. I'm like, all right, but not for me. I just don't get it. I just don't. For me, and it's crazy. Like, how you say you have your phases and stuff. Like right now, like I think because I'm so angry with moving and shit and having to redo so much in my house, like I keep going back to like Black Flag and the Clash and like the Ramones and and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't know.
I feel like those are that'd be a good moving playlist though. Really just get it out.
Yeah, well, the new thing with Apple, and I'm not, I wish they'd sponsor this fucking show, is that you put I put on Rise Against by Black Flag today. The song finished, and then they have an algorithm now on iTunes that after you listen to a year's worth of music, it finds out what you like and what's similar to the artist you listen to, and they'll play music that they think you'll like. And for an hour and 35 minutes, they nail that shit on the head. And it was just like, damn, really? This music's, oh yeah. Then it hit a roadblock. It was like it was like Janet Jackson came on. I was like, how the fuck did we get from Black Flag to Janet Jackson? But
that's quite the trail you went on there.
Yeah, when you start listening to Rise Above, and then the next thing you got Janet Jackson's whatever Janet Jackson songs on. You start losing yourself in that stuff.
It's definitely a different taste.
So you're going to see Eddie next week, right?
I am. I'll be there Thursday.
I am very upset that I will not be able to meet you while I'm in Chicago. I'm disappointed.
Unfortunate.
Yes.
Tragic even.
Well, I wouldn't go tragic. I mean, I would think that it'd be tragic for you not to meet me, but the other way around, I mean, it's all good.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. Good to know. All right. Okay.
Now, listen, I really wish I could, but next week, I fly in on Tuesday to come to Chicago. I'll be in Chicago like 8:30 on Tuesday evening. The show's on Wednesday, and then I was supposed to come home on Thursday. Well, now I'm flying from Chicago to Kansas City on Thursday to hopefully buy a house, and then fly home Friday to then meet my family to drive to Baltimore. So my son plays a soccer game, then leave Baltimore to come home. So I don't know when I'll see my house after next Tuesday. Like I don't.
Oh my God, that's a lot.
Yeah, this month is like blur. I feel so bad. I mean, I've had today I had 30 people call me, and I was like, I wasn't even answering the phone. I was like, I'm so out of touch.
That's how I've been recently. Like I've been since I've started living more on my own. I've been terrible at texting people. Like it's just one because I'm trying to focus on school, but it's also like I'm trying to find opportunities. I have to focus on work. I have to in terms of opportunity. Like I'm working on a film shoot this weekend, which I'm really excited for. But it's just trying to find opportunities that fit in my schedule, and then it's okay, but now I have to find time with friends because I also need to keep my social life going. And so it's I'm trying to, and then I have to fit in time for myself, and it's like, all over the place.
But you text your mom daily, correct? Oh, come on. Come
Look.
on.
When I say I'm terrible at texting, it's like there are some days where I just don't text anyone because it's like it's almost become a point where it's like it's almost stressful to me because like the constant pressure to because like I don't think I've ever really given myself time to myself like a day. I don't think I've had a day to myself in a minute, and so it's like trying to like any moment that I do have time for myself to like okay I can relax and like play a video game or like something like I just kind of take advantage of it and like all right I'm gonna do this now and focus on this for like a couple
Sure.
hours and then go back to the work. And so I think that's the biggest problem is like trying to stay on top of my relationships with a lot of people is I feel bad, but on the other hand I'm also like I don't know where I'm at with it, so it's weird.
Hey, you got to find yourself and stuff, but you text your mom daily. And
Here,
moving
I'll
on,
text her now.
you text her now. Say you
I'll text her
apologize.
now. I know she's watching, but
Oh, she 100% is. And while you're texting her, and we're getting through this, if you could talk to someone your age right now that is lost, that doesn't listen to good music, that is maybe needs to open their mind a little bit more to music, instead of listening to what's on TikTok or Snappy Chat, what would you say to them?
honestly, and see, this is the problem with that question because if they are finding, I think when music is something as important, like if they find a certain meaning in those songs that they're listening to on TikTok or if they enjoy that and it's something that is like giving them if it is like if they need it as like I need an escape from today, I just want to listen to some music. Good for them. I think if they really enjoy those songs and it's something that they love, I don't see any problem that they shouldn't love it. I don't see any problem that they should have to like feel pressure to be like, oh, you have to listen to this artist or you got to like listen to. On the other, I mean, but then on the other side of that coin, it's also like there are so many more artists out there that you should be expanding your taste. And
Yeah.
a lot of people that I have been talking to, where they as I've grown older, the expansion of people's tastes is much different than 5 years ago. Everyone I would talk to would be like, "Oh, I love this artist," and like it would be the same for everyone. And now, a couple years later, it's vastly different. I talk to people and they're like, "Oh, I love this, and this," and then I talk to someone over here and they love this, and this. I have a friend of mine from back home, a really close friend of mine, who just didn't even listen to music until like 2 years ago. Like would just never listen to music. It wasn't like a part of which was unfathomable to me. But it's like now his taste in music is like it's one shaped mine because he finds like a bunch of like he'll go to record stores and just find like cool album covers, which is what I end up doing now. And it's like, oh, listen to this, and then you just listen to that. And so it's like just finding how people find different artists is now like the more focus, I think, for my age now.
That's not the answer I was hoping for. But I'll take it. I'll let you have that one. It's okay.
Understandable.
It's all good. Well, it's Brad. Well, Brad brought up a great point, and it kind of is interesting to me. And this is what I think frustrates me is like I remember growing up and listening to I remember finding "Dark Side of the Moon" by Pink Floyd. That is like my first vivid memory of falling in love with music. Is like and listening to it from the first song to the last song. Where nowadays, and this is a question I'll pose to you in a second. Where nowadays, it's not albums. There's not really albums. And the bands that are producing albums are bands that came out 20 years ago or 15 years ago. Like the way of everything since I would say 2015 onwards has been quick singles. I mean, and bands have changed because of that, because they don't care about album sales, they care about singles and being popular. Kings of Leon are a prime example of that. And, I look at when I think of bands that have longevity that are relatively new, I think of Jack White's a great example of that. Jack White, White Stripes, they're going to be around in 30 years. When I think of bands I think My Morning Jacket, I think of Band of Horses, I think of bands that still play album-based things that are still going to be around. When I think of music that's come out in the last couple of years, I don't know if there's a band that's come out that put out an album let's say recently, that's new, that is going to be around in 30 years, making the impact on music that that music for the last 15, 20 years ago came out. So here's my question. As a young hipster, as they call you kids nowadays,
I'm a hipster now. That is the first time in my life someone has called me a hipster.
hipster.
I'm sorry.
That's right.
Sorry.
That's right. I'm changing your name. I don't even know. I don't even have your phone. I was gonna say I was gonna put you down as hipster on my phone. But with the way things are going nowadays, is there an artist as a young person that you think that's come out recently that you believe could be impactful for 20, 30 years down the road? Or do you believe that the way music shifted, that it's just impossible to do that now?
It's very difficult for me to answer that question because I'm so uneducated in terms of popular music now. Because my music taste is I've been so focused on looking at smaller artists and like looking at these smaller things that I have not been looking at the larger scale in terms of music nowadays. And so honestly, the first name that kind of pops up in my head in terms of like popular music now and how it's being shaped is Kanye. Like I think of Kanye honestly
Kanye came out like 20 years ago.
But he's still very influential now. Like I talk to any one of my friends and they all like listen to Kanye. I mean, they love or hate him,
because he makes shoes. That's why he's so popular. He makes shoes. Like,
I honestly forgot that he makes shoes.
Dude, what was the last song besides Through the Wire that was relative? And that came out probably before you were born.
Well, no. Wasn't there like a big show like that? He's been doing a lot more live performance stuff, and like I think Donda was a big one. Like in the past, 6 months, like that was.
You're speaking Spanish to me now.
And that's what I'm saying. Like I think you and I are both in different realms because Donda is still like something I barely even know, and it's something that it's something that's popular in the sphere of like my age group, and that it's changing how music is, because a lot of music now is more focused on like beats and kind of the lyrics that go along with that beats, and so that's kind of its own kind of thing. This is also just from the limited knowledge that I know.
Okay, so let me ask you this now. When I think of longevity, when I was in my whatever age you are, 20, so 16 years ago, that'd be right. I guess right when I started dating my wife, I was thinking of bands for instance, the Beatles. They have longevity. They're going to be thought about in 30 years. When Kanye West passes, I think he's going to die off in pop. He's not going to have the longevity. His music is not going to live on like a Tupac or Notorious B.I.G. or something like that. I mean, hell, I think in a grand scheme of things, I think Busta Rhymes is going to be more important than Kanye West. I mean, Kanye West has changed his names how many times? People are going to be like, who the hell is this guy and what is his name?
I'm gonna stand on my point and disagree with you there. I still think in terms of music history, I think Kanye may not be like as game changing as like the Beatles, but I still think he will still be a pivotal moment in terms of at least American music history that will kind of change how music sounds and how music is, because his has a different level of performativity to it, where it's like again, I can't really describe much of it because it's not something I'm necessarily well educated in. It's still a free flowing form of music as now, like we're still kind of in that movement, but I think it'll be something that is still remembered after he's gone. So that's my take on it.
So, and then after this interview, you're supposed to be doing a rap battle at your local community college where that's that.
I mean, what am I supposed to do?
Hey, you do whatever you got to do. But no, realistically, listen, first of all, I've said this a couple times tonight, but I want to say this again. It is super impressive talking to someone at 20 years old that has the knowledge and drive and determination that you have. What you've done at 20 years old, some people that are older than myself, that are even my age and older, they're still trying to accomplish. So I think that's pretty impressive. I think you have a bright future ahead of you. And I think what you've done for Teen Cancer America is admirable, and I'm excited that Touring Fan Live is getting an opportunity to work with them and do some stuff for them this month.
It's very exciting.
Yeah, it is. I've always come to the idea that we need to help everyone, just like you were talking before. Like we need to leave a better place than we got here. And unfortunately, right now we're just everything is just in disarray, and we're just trying to figure things out. Nevin, I really appreciate your time, and I know that you probably got like 6 girls to text after this and meet up and do a rap
I have
battle.
a girlfriend. Hold on. We can't be. I have a girlfriend. I can't just.
Oh, no, okay, well, all right. Wait, hold a second. Now I got a few more questions then.
Okay.
This girl, does she live in Chicago?
Yes.
So it's a pretty new relationship.
We've been dating for about a year now.
Okay, that's new. I have shoes older than that.
So do I.
You're 12. I mean 20. I mean it's the same.
12.
thing.
Okay. Wow. Here we go.
All right. So now
Anyway.
do you have similarities in music with this girl, or is she one of the ones that listen to more of the what's popular now?
No and no. She has her own taste. She's very so we don't necessarily share a lot. We have music that we share the same taste in. A lot of them is a lot more like I would think more like emo and rock kind of. Think like My Chemical Romance. She actually was actually at a concert 2 days ago. She went to go see. I don't know how, but they found me. They're more of like a rockish kind of band. But like she has her own taste, and then I have my own taste, and then it's the fact that we both enjoy each other's music. Like, we have a playlist that we kind of, I'll listen to her playlist, she'll listen to mine, and we kind of enjoy each other's music. And I think I value that much more than like having someone who has the exact same taste.
Yeah.
Because then I don't end up discovering more. It's just kind of like I get locked in my own sense of taste. Then I feel like, and then I lose that taste to that person kind of deal. Like it's locked now in a relationship rather than it just being like something that I enjoy. So I like the fact that we're able to have 2 different tastes of music and be able to like celebrate them in their own right.
Well, you use a lot of big words and fancy statements. A 20-year-old shouldn't be. So kudos to you. Nevin, first of all, kudos to everything you're doing. Good luck with you and your girlfriend. Your mother says she's a famous TikTok star, which is I don't understand TikTok. I've stopped on Instagram. Instagram is as far as I go in the world.
That's understandable.
But no, I really appreciate your time and hearing your stories and really getting a chat with you, because I feel like I've known you from afar for so long just because of how much your mother speaks so highly of you and all the things she posts about you. So it's pretty cool to actually have this opportunity to talk to you. But no. Listen, this month we're going to, with Touring Fan Live, is raising money for Teen Cancer America. We have a Facebook Live donation page up right now. We're raised over $500 already in the short period of time we've done it, which is pretty amazing. Next Wednesday, if you're going to go see Eddie Vedder in Chicago for night 1, we're going to be doing a gathering of people and a live show from Elephant and Castle, which is less than a half a mile away from the venue. So you can actually come. There are going to be drink specials and kind of hang out with some friends that you haven't seen in a long time and catch up. And we're going to be just there, just kind of celebrating the fact of what we're doing and doing a live show from there. So more information on that is on the Touring Fan Live social media. And then coming up, we have some other announcements coming up, including working with some collections and some other things coming up. So stay tuned to Touring Fan Live for more information. And I'm probably forgetting things because I am just burnt the frig out. And I will be cleaning until 2:00 in the morning. So,
oh my God.
Oh yeah, dude, I don't ever sell a house. It's the worst fucking thing in the world.
If I can even buy a house in the first place.
You will 100% buy a house one day. I have faith in you. You're going to be, listen, with the mindset and the ideas and the way you talk and the way you look at the world, you have a bright future ahead of you. So, listen, Nevin, thank you so much for tuning in. Hang tight. We're going to end the show. We're going to do some legal mumbo jumbo on the screen, listen to some music, end it live, and then we'll say our goodbyes in the back end. So everyone, check out Nevin. He's everywhere, and he's JJB's son, and JJB's pretty amazing. And we've learned this evening that her son is pretty awesome too. So I'm Anthony. That's Nevin, and thank you so much for tuning in to Hitchhiker Stories from the Road with Nevin. And hit the music.